Greetings everybody, my name is Tommy the Keyblade Master and welcome to my channel as I do another review, this time for new Super Mario Bros. For the DS, but I'm doing the Wii U Virtual Console version, telling you my opinions about the game entirely and which version I think you should pick up. Now I did kind of do a quick review a few weeks ago when this was first announced and pretty much said that yeah, this is a decent enough game, but you should really seek it out on the console that it was released for, the DS. After playing through the Virtual Console version, my opinion hasn't changed that much. For the most part, if you own a DS, if you own a 3DS system, you're better off looking for New Super Mario Bros. On the DS cart. All DS systems can play it, including the new 3DS systems, so you're better off looking for it there than on the Wii U Virtual Console. But is this game any good if you are someone, maybe like 2 or 3 people out there who own a Wii U but don't own a Nintendo 3DS? Is this worth the pickup? Well, I'm going to take a look at it and tell you my opinion on this game. And it's a bit of a mixed one, too. I remember 9 years ago when I got this, being excited about the first Super Mario Bros. That game that was 2D in almost a decade and a half. And then after playing through it, being just a little bit disappointed in it. And for the most part, that opinion hasn't changed, and I'll tell you why in my review. So let's start off with the story. Yeah, it's a typical Mario storyline. Princess Peach gets kidnapped, this time by Bowser Jr. You could say it's an interesting story setup that Bowser seems to be more of a lackey of Bowser Jr. than the other way around in this one. But for the most part, it's the same setup. Mario has to go rescue Princess Peach from the Koopas. Nothing really new or big here. As far as the graphics in this game go, it's a bit of a mixed bag, especially on the Virtual Console version. Now, on the DS, this game looked pretty good, especially for its day, and on the DS, it's aged fairly well. There are, of course, areas like the Koopa Troopas and the way they look in some of the backgrounds that don't look as good as some of the other new Super Mario Bros. Games, but for the most part, playing this game on the DS is just fine. However, problems come on the Wii U Virtual Console version. Now, you can play this game on the gamepad just fine, and it looks just fine. However, regardless of what mode you set it on, you're going to be sharing some space with the touchscreen controls, because that's just how the emulation works. You need the touchscreen in this game anyways, because it's required for the item power-ups. So you're going to be sharing space with the touchscreen if you try to play this on the gamepad. However, if you try to blow it up with the top screening just being the television screen, which is the Apple way of playing this, especially if you're trying to record video like I am, you'll notice problems in the emulation. Mainly, the picture just looks like crap, especially if you're small Mario or if you're in an area that has a lot of effects. You just can notice the pixelation and the jagged edges. The game was never meant to be displayed on a television screen. It was meant to be displayed on a small DS screen, and it just sticks out like a sore thumb, which is kind of unfortunate because playing this on the DS, like I said, it looks fine and it looks pretty good, but playing it on the Virtual Console definitely is not the optimal way of playing this game. Alright, let's move on and talk about something that the Wii U Virtual Console doesn't screw up, and that's the music in this game. As long as you're not expecting some sort of high-quality surround sound blaring at you, the music in this game is still pretty good and holds up fairly well, even on the Virtual Console. The sound is pretty good, and although the new Super Mario Bros. Theme is not as classic as the original Super Mario Bros. Theme, it does a pretty good job. Also, one of the things I liked about the new Super Mario Bros. Series is that Mario doesn't constantly yap like some other classic game port that I covered, but he only does classic sound effects mostly, with a few yaps in between for either new moves or for special occasions. I like the way it sounds. It's a little bit of the new ability to put in voice clips now in modern games, and mostly classic throwback sound effects. I think it works out just fine. Here, take a listen. Alright, we're moving on to the gameplay here, and I'm going to start telling you why I have a hard time recommending even the Virtual Console version of this, even if you don't have a DS. Mainly because the Virtual Console has so many other classic Super Mario Brothers games, and this one just doesn't really stack up to them. Alright, let's start talking about the gameplay itself. If you can't tell, New Super Mario Bros. Plays kind of like classic Super Mario Bros., and it does a great job emulating this. They threw in a few new moves from Mario 64. Some of them don't go very well with the 2D design. I don't really like the wall jump in a lot of areas. There's one or two areas where it's used really cleverly. However, most of the time this seems to be a way for beginners to get out of what would have been, back in the old days, a legitimate fall into a pit and instant death. So this really makes the game easier. That said, the stage designs are fun, and the overall control and experience is an enjoyable one. Now, they did throw in a few new items I should talk about as well. However, these items are kind of a mixed bag. Next to your Mushroom and Fire Flower power-up, you now have the Mega Mushroom, which is basically invincibility, except it turns Mario into a freaking giant that can just rampage over everything and just destroy everything in his path. It's kind of a fun item to use. However, there are areas in the game where using it will actually get you stuck, so it's not a super useful one. The other one is the Mini Mushroom. This one's kind of an interesting power-up. Basically, it shrinks Mario. It allows him to jump higher, run on water, and get secrets. If you're a completionist, you're going to want to seek out this item. Most people just looking to go through the game aren't going to be very interested in this power-up. And then finally, you have the Shell power-up. This one's a bit of a mixed bag. If you know how to control this power-up item, you're going to be able to blaze through this game really good, because when Mario goes into a full run, he becomes invincible. However, he's hard to stop, and he'll ricochet off everything and can easily fall into pits or break something that could cause him to fall to his death. So it's a really hard power-up to use. Those who know how to use it well like it. I don't like it, though, just as a heads up. And I should finally tell you, although this game does not baby you like the other new Super Mario Bros. Games with golden leaves or Luigi blocks, it's still a fairly easy game once you know how to cheat the system. Now, as you go through the game, you notice there are star coins that you can use to basically unlock toad houses on the map. However, there's another way to get free toad houses, and basically that is to make sure the last two digits on the clock are the same, or they are a multiple of 11. So 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, and so on. If you get those and hit the flagpole, you'll get fireworks, and then a free toad house will pop up. What toad house you'll get will depend on the number, and once you figure out what numbers trigger what toad house, finding one-ups, extra items, or mega mushrooms just becomes super easy, and this game just really becomes really simple, I would say, and in a lot of ways it's even easier than Super Princess Peach. And finally, I guess I should tell you, there are some mini games that can be played on the main menu. They're basically small touchscreen mini games that include things like poker and other puzzles. They're okay, but they're only going to hold your attention for a few minutes each. They do good as a mild distraction, but nothing better than that. Anyways, this game's still good. It's still solid. If you don't own a DS and you have played through all the other Mario games on the Virtual Console and are still hungry for more 2D Mario action game, it's not a bad pickup and purchase. However, if you have not tried Super Mario Bros. 3, if you have not tried Super Mario World, and for the same price as this is on the Virtual Console, if you have not tried Super Mario 64, I urge you to go try those games first. If you own a DS and 3DS, which I think most people who own a Wii U probably do, I suggest seeking this game out on its native platform. You don't have the jagged edges in the sprites as much as you do in the native platform. I give New Super Mario Bros. A 4 out of 5 on the DS and a 3 out of 5 on the Virtual Console. It's like I said, it's not a bad game, folks, but I don't think playing it on the Wii U on the television screen is just the great way to play the game. It's better off on the small screen. And when you add on top of the fact that the game is pretty easy and some of the new power-ups aren't as compelling as the original power-ups from the classic Super Mario Bros., you got a game that's just not as good as some of the classic old school games. Still, it's one that I do recommend people play, but not before they play some of the original classic Super Mario Bros. Games. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you have any comments on this, feel free to leave them down below. This is Tommy the Keyblade Master, thanking you for watching and signing out.